from Royal Communications Incorporated. Pleasant good morning and welcome to King's Newsroom. 45 minutes of aggregate balance, incredible news about Liberia and the rest of our one word. Today is Wednesday, September 24, 2025. I'm Cornelius Johnson presenting this early morning edition of the program. Stories topping the headlines. United States government announces drop charges against Liberia former female ruthless rebel leader Mayama Sise, popularly known as Black Diamond, as she faces possible deportation. Government of Liberia expressing readiness to pay 7.1 million to Timor workers through mobile money transfers, but National Timor Wood Construction and Allied Workers Union rejects the ministry move. African Maritime Administration's conference to begin in Monrovia on September 30 as Liberia's special representative to the International Maritime Organization, Ambassador Robert Quade, terms the conference a boost of national growth, that's of domestic growth. Away from Liberia, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have announced they will immediately withdraw from the International Criminal Court, labeling it as an instrument of neo-colonialism repression. And more than 80 buffaloes have been killed after they trample over each other and drown in a river, Namibia's Environment and Tourism Department has said. The news bulletin, Voices of the Newsmakers, are all packaged in this edition of the program. We take a very short break to be right back. The government of the United States has dropped some charges against former rebel leader Mayaman Sise, popularly known as Black Diamond. Black Diamond was once accused of leading a brutal unit of female fighters and recruiting child soldiers during Liberia's bloody civil war, but not before dropping all former criminal charges against her. She was removed from the United States by the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement on September 5, 2025, more than a decade after she entered the country on a visitor visa and attempted to build a new life in Georgia. The ICE had initially labeled her as a notorious war criminal and celebrated her arrest as a win for human rights accountability, but the case ended in a courtroom with a one-way ticket back to Monrovia with no criminal prosecution occur. Cisse arrived in the U.S. in 2014 and later married a U.S. citizen and applied for permanent residency. Following her application, the federal immigration authorities alleged she lied about her integrity and identity and wartime activities, including her role as a commander in the Liberia United for Reconciliation and Democracy, a rebel group accused of mass atrocities. According to the ICE's own reports, Cisse led an all-female militia known as the Women's Artillery Commandos and recruited young girls and boys for some as young as 10 to fight. Witnesses during the Liberia's Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearing accused her of leading raids that included rape, mutilation, and murder. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance, says it has committed to paying 7.1 million United States dollars to Timor workers directly to individuals beneficiaries rather than paying through any groups or unions claiming authority. In a press statement issued Tuesday, Ministry of Finance noted that payments will be made after beneficiaries are verified as legitimate Timor workers. According to the ministry, ongoing disputes between rival factions led by Bartolome Coley and Michael Blaman have complicated matters of representation, making it impossible to channel the funds through a single union structure. The release added that both Coley and Blaman are leading separate groups, each asserting leadership over the Timor Workers Union and laying claims to the settlement funds. At the same time, the government noted that no lump sum payment will be made to any faction or leadership structure, stressing that only the actual workers will benefit. The press statement indicated that the assurance follows a recent Ministry of Finance and Development Planning stop payment order on a 2,000 United States dollar check reportedly issued to the Liberty law firm and disagreements over the yuan's representation. The ministry has maintained that all future payments will bypass third party claims and go directly to verified workers. Meanwhile, the National Timber Workers Wood Construction and Allied Workers Union of Liberia has sharply rejected the Ministry of Finance's decision to pay debts lodging companies or its members through their mobile money numbers. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, the union's secretary Marcus Blaman disclosed that members of the union are fully determined to resist the ministry. He also cautioned all former timber workers to avoid sending their mobile money numbers to the Ministry of Finance for any transactions. Blaman noted that the attempts of the Ministry of Finance to pay former timber workers through mobile money numbers violates President Joseph Boakar's directive. Liberia will possibly become an epicenter of continental maritime dialogue with preparations for the country to host the 2025 Association of African Maritime Administrations Conference. Held from September 30 to October 3 in Monrovia, the conference will bring together policymakers, regulators, industry experts, and international partners to shape the future of Africa's marine and inland waters economies. Speaking at a press briefing in Monrovia Tuesday, Liberia's special representatives to the IMO, Ambassador Robert Potter, termed the conference as Liberia's broader maritime aspiration. According to Ambassador Potter, the Association of African Maritime Administrations, as the continent's foremost maritime body, represents over 40 African nations with strategic maritime interests. Ambassador, Ambassador Pare also said Liberia's hosting the conference is not just a coincidence, but a result of decades of contributions to international maritime development. Ambassador Pare noted that the conference represents a major opportunity for domestic growth, with the blue economy projected to be a cornerstone of Africa's future. Grand Crook County Senator Nemandi Batikwa has sharply refuted allegations made by Nimba County Senator Nyan Twain, who claimed that a recent visit by the Senate Joint Committee on Investments and Construction to Asalameta, Liberia, was orchestrated to solicit bribes rather than to represent the interests of Liberians, making clarification Tuesday at his Capitol building office in Monrovia on behalf of the Senate Joint Committee's actions. Grand Crew County Senator in chair on investments and concession described the allegations as unfounded and deeply misleading, stressing that the committee's work was grounded in legitimacy, transparency, and due process. According to him, Senator Twine initially raised the issues with the communication to the Liberian Senate surrounding Asalameta failure on the MDA with the concession operations in Nimba County. Senator Batikwa added that based on these concerns by him, the Senate saw the need to constitute a joint committee to investigate. Senator Batikwa clarified that the committee was not a self-appointed body but was formally constituted by the Senate leadership and has worked closely with relevant stakeholders throughout the process. Addressing Senator Twine's claim of being excluded from the committee's activities, Patikwa rejected the assertion outright, stating that Twine was actively involved in the visit to Asalameta. Senator Batikwa reaffirming the committee's commitment to completing its investigation and presenting a full report to the Liberian Senate. The Liberia Council of Churches has expressed deep concern over tensions that erupted between armed police officers and harmless citizens at the Rabas International Airport during former President George Weah returned to Liberia. On Monday, several supporters of former President Weah who have gathered at the RRA to welcome him were tear gassed and beaten by officers of the Liberia National Police in an effort to disperse them. However, LCC Secretary General Reverend Dr. Christopher Toole, said it's important the Ministry of Justice provide clear information regarding the incident. According to him, it is customary that Liberians sometimes gather at the opposition direction at the Rabas International Airport whenever individual of high profile clergymen or guests is entering the country using the RIA. He added that there was absolutely no need for the police to tear gas nor beat the peaceful citizens for turning out to receive the former president. Authorities of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency on Tuesday held a recognition and honoring ceremony for East Iron Gate Detachment Commander Abdullah Kurma and his men. The recognition ceremony held at its headquarters was graced by senior officers and commanders follows the Iron Gate Detachment recent raids in Jatoni Town in Broville City that resulted to a huge drug bust. During the occasion, LDA officer in charge, Fajerel Biako, on behalf of the interim leadership, commended Officer Kluman and his team for the operation that led to one of the country's biggest efforts in tackling drug trafficking and abuse. As a mark of appreciation, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency (ORC) presented a new set of uniforms and boots to Officer Kluman for his hard work, describing the gift as a symbol of appreciation from the LDEA leadership. In response, Ambassador Commander Abdullah Kurman expressed gratitude to the agency head and deputies. He thanked the citizens for their support during the operation and called for more citizen support in the fight against illegal drugs across the country. The National Police That's the Liberia National Police Bon County Detachment has arrested, charged, and forwarded to the NAM Judicial Circuit Court two suspected armed robbers. They are identified as Austin Maxwell, 40, and Ahmed Mato Ure, 43. The suspects were charged with theft of property, criminal conspiracy, and simple assault following their arrest in the GST Road community. A third suspect, identified only as Foka, is Sierra Leonean national, remains on the run as the LMP has launched a search to apprehend him. According to the LMP, the arrest was made based on the tip-off and the suspect's previous criminal records. Speaking at a press briefing, Brown County Police Commander Fasu Sharif confirmed the arrest and reiterated the police commitment in combating crimes across the county. Commander Sharif also reaffirmed the enforcement of a recently imposed nighttime restriction on commercial motorcyclists operating within Banga. The head of the International Independent Commission on Human Rights says the prolonged investigation by police in the alleged rape involving the suspended youth and sports deputy minister is of utmost concern to his institution. Councillor Dempster Brown noted that currently there are about 251 inmates behind bars at the Monroeville Central Prison for alleged rape that did not get preferential or preferential treatment, like Deputy Minister Brian McGill, who stand accused of raping a 14-year-old girl. According to him, this strange act of police investigation is nothing but a selective justice, adding that the accused must be arrested and brought under the jurisdiction of the court. Councillor Brown is said to be considering a petition for a right of McDermott to compel Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman to turn over Deputy Minister Brian McGill for the law to take its course. The Independent Commission on Human Rights disclosed that both the Solicitor General and the Counter Attorney have assured him of turning the accused over since, but wondered why this has not been done. He made specific reference to President Joseph Boakar's recent speech at the United Nations General Assembly, which speaks volume about protecting women and girls' rights, and as such, rape should not be compromised. And the Alternative National Congress has announced the holding of its 2025 National Convention in Kakata, Magibi County, aimed at electing new corps of officers ahead of the 2029 presidential and legislative elections. Making the disclosure on Tuesday in Monrovia, the organizing chairman of ANC 2025 National Convention, Patrick Moore, said delegates are expected to adopt a new constitution, raise funds, and develop a budget to run the party. According to him, during the opening ceremony, several political parties and prominent personalities will be in attendance. Mo, at the same time, encouraged members of the ANC who are not delegates to make their way and grace the opening and closing of the convention. The news bulletin will take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Indeed, if you just join us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of accurate, balanced, incredible news about Liberia and the rest of our one word. Today is Wednesday, September 24, 2025. One of our top stories this morning: United States government announces drop charges against Liberia former female ruthless rebel leader Mayama Sise, popularly known as Black Diamond, faces possible deportation. Let's now bring you voices of the newsmakers. The National Timber Wood Construction and Allied Workers Union of Liberia has sharply rejected the Ministry of Finance's decision to pay debts lodging companies owe its members through their mobile money numbers. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, the union's secretary Marcus Blama disclosed that members of the union are fully determined to resist the ministry. He also cautioned all former timber workers to avoid sending their mobile money numbers to the Ministry of Finance for any transactions. Blaman noted that attempts of the Ministry of Finance to pay former timber workers through mobile money numbers violates President Joseph Boakar's directive.
We are a private institution, and we are not going to allow for government to pay us. It is not a government paying us. Government owe us our services rendered to the private companies, and they are to give this money to us to pay our membership. To tell us say we want to pay people by mobile money is ambiguous. But can they go to River G now, River Bay, and pay workers are there, men are there? Or can TDCO where we're operating, bring logging company, when you get a total time, you take the road on the left hand side. In a group of companies in Maryland are operating there, under Camping Mao, Oscar Cooper, Kavala Timber Corporation that are operating between Sando and Grand Chide to pay the people that are living there. Bring logging company around Grand Chide to pay the people. Mohammed group of company in Nimba to pay the people. The people don't have mobile money. People are people that work for their money and they're in the bushes there. That is why we said the union, because we were covering them before even the war. That today they want to go pay the people $7 million United States dollars is what the government have agreed to pay as by announced by them. But we are not going to suggest ourselves to paying our people by mobile money because our people will not receive their money. We all know what mobile money can do. They will say information that you get money, the money will not come. If people do not receive their money, they will hold you responsible. They will say the union lied to us, they took our money, and we will not agree today, we will not agree tomorrow. And I call upon all timber workers, nobody should go to finance ministry to get paid. No way. Let us wait. Let the president promise us come back. We'll go back to him. We say no to it, and we say no to it tomorrow, yesterday, and day after tomorrow. We never agree to it. Finance ministry, they are not doing well. When they issued a check to John Banama through Liberty Law Firm, they never talk about mobile money, but rather they issued a check. I understood that they have already canceled the check. If it's true, it will be a good thing to sell for them. But what we have done is that we have written the Justice Minister as acting president of the Republic of Liberia a criminal case complete against the people that fraudulently went and received money under pretext.
He's Marcus Blaman, Secretary General of the National Timber Wood Construction and Allied Workers Union of Liberia. They're speaking. Liberia will possibly become an epicenter of continental maritime dialogue with preparations for the country to host the 2025 Association of African Maritime Administrations Conference. Held from September 30 to October 3 in Monrovia, the conference will bring together policymakers, regulators, industry experts, and international partners to shape the future of Africa's marine and inland waters economies. Speaking at a press briefing in Monrovia Tuesday, Liberia special representatives told the IMO Ambassador Robert Quade termed the conference as Africa's broader maritime aspiration. According to him, the Association of African Maritime Administrations, as the continent's foremost maritime body, represents over 40 African nations with strategic maritime interests. Here now is Ambassador Robert Quade.
So Liberia has the distinct honor to host this year's conference, which is the 8th AMA conference. AMA has a membership of over 40 African countries, and of course, other organizations, MOCA, and many other organizations to include the African Ship Owners Association. The 30th of September, the conference begins and runs up to October 3rd. We are pretty much, I can confirm that we will have over 200 international guests of all levels, heads of maritime institutions, ambassadors. So we're going to have big executives, movers and shakers of the maritime sector globally, the industry globally, that will be trooping on our dear country for the conference. The conference is held under the theme emphasizing Africa's blue economic potential specifically and safeguarding Africa's maritime space. Africa has a very rich endowment of water resources across its landscape, in sea, in ocean, in rivers, and even made in lakes. And so the emphasis is placed on how we can convert this endowment collectively as African maritime member states, convert our endowment into economic benefits for our people. How can we now begin to put emphasis as a continent on our blue economy, create jobs for our people, and build a very burgeoning, hospitality industry, which will include small watercraft and other aspects in the sector, to include, shipyard and many other things, cruise from place to place. But that will require, mobilizing needed investment in the sector.
Ambassador Kware also said Liberia hosting the conference is not a coincidence but a result of decades of contributions to international maritime development. He noted that the conference represents a major opportunity for domestic growth, with the blue economy projected to be a cornerstone of Africa's future.
So the conference, if AMA conference, will predominantly emphasize investment into the sector. Beneath the key theme, like safeguarding the water resources of Africa with the local maritime security, protection of maritime habitat, with local additional manpower, sustain the industry. We have to do some fundamental things, which will include building manpower, training our people, providing opportunity for women. There's a whole big conversation now in the global maritime space about how we now begin to put emphasis on women and train them and give them opportunity to play leadership role in the sector and ensure gender balance in the sector. All of those things are sub-themes or everyday sub-topics that we will be talking about. What does this conference mean for what projects international are is that our country has, courageously trained the corner. We're a country now of peace. We're a country of, global leadership. 2 months ago, our country was elected as a non-permanent member, UN security institution, and pretty much our country now will join other countries to champion peace around the world. We've moved from violence, we've moved from thuggery, we've moved from all the terrible things, savagery, and we moved to a country of law, a country of democracy, a country that is playing respectable role in the international sphere. Relative to maritime, Liberia is a leader in the sector at the level of the IMO, where it is at the council level, and of course at category A level amongst 10 countries, only African country with that at that level. And it's such a very enviable feat. No one can overlook. It says that our country is demonstrated leadership.
Liberia's special representative to the IMO ambassador Wabo Kwade. Grenco County Senator Numindi Batikwa has sharply refuted allegations made by Nimba County Senator Nyan Twain, who claimed that a recent visit by the Senate Joint Committee on Investments and Construction to Asalameta, Liberia, was orchestrated to solicit, perhaps, rather than to represent the interests of Liberians. Making clarification Tuesday at his Capitol building office in Monrovia on behalf of the Senate Joint Committee's actions, Grenco County Senator and Chair on Investments and Concessions described the allegations as unfounded and deeply misleading, stressing that the committee's work was grounded in legitimacy, transparency, and due process. According to him, Senator Twain initially raised the issues with a communication to the Liberian Senate surrounding ArcelorMittal's failure on the MDA with the construction operations in Nimba County.
You raise the issue in the first place. In his letter, he indicated who he indicated the committees because he knew the relevant committee as the issues he raised. He talked about the committee on concession investment. He talked about lands and mines. He talked about public works. He talked about public account. He talked about all of these committees. And exactly as he recommended, the plenary constituted the committee. And that's the committee that have been working all along with the people. Where his anger come from, nobody knows. That is why usually whenever complaints like those, like his, are lifted, normally the senator that raised the issue is not always left out. For instance, Botokane raised issue against Bachiko. And when we were going there, Botokane was there. Senior Tenor raised issue against Bia Mountain. Going there, Ikema, he was there. Prince Moy raised issue against NG Cole. When we were there, going there, he was there. But his issue is not as constructive as those other senators are. He is combative. He is antagonistic. So how could we carry him if we wanted the whole issue to be peaceful, especially when the people looking at their experience with him, that anytime he sees them, he combats them. Anytime he sees them, his engagement with them is not constructive. In fact, we've seen all that have happened, what they are doing, records are taken. We carry all of the relevant people. So we will compile our report. In fact, the truth is not only because when we are addressing issue of NIMBA, we don't want the Basa people to come and say, oh, we have issue too. So we are doing it holistically. We also have to go to Basa because AML operation affects Basa. So Nyatwayan intimidation, aggression against us cannot deter us to do the work that we're supposed to do for and on behalf of the Liberian people.
Grenco County Senator Numindi Batikwa, they're speaking. Indeed, if you just joined us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of reliable and factual news about Liberia and the rest of our one world. Today is Wednesday, September 24, 2025. I'm Cornelius Johnson presenting story top in the headlines. United States government announces drop charges against Liberia former ruthless rebel leader Maima Sise, popularly known as Black Diamond, faces possible deportation. Government of Liberia expressed readiness to pay 7.1 million to timber workers through mobile money transfer, but National Timber, Wood, Construction, and Allied Workers Union rejects the ministry move. Africa's Maritime Administration Conference to commence in Monrovia on September 30 as Liberia's special representative to the IMO ambassador Robert Quade terms the conference a boost of national growth. Away from Liberia, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have announced they will immediately withdraw from the International Criminal Court, labeling it as an instrument of neo-colonialist repression. And more than 80 buffaloes have been killed after they trample over each other and drown in a river, Namibia's Environment and Tourism Department has said. We take a very short break. When we come back, we bring you more developments on the program. Thanks for being there and welcome back. The Liberia Council of Churches has expressed deep concern over tensions that erupted between armed police officers and armless citizens at the Rabas International Airport during former President George Weah returned to Liberia on Monday. Several supporters of former President Weah who have gathered at the RRA to welcome him were tear gassed and beaten by officers of the Liberia National Police in an effort to disperse them. However, LCC Secretary General Reverend Dr. Christopher Toole said it's important the Ministry of Justice provide clear information regarding the incident. According to him, it is customary that Liberians sometimes gather at the opposition direction of the Rabas International Airport whenever individual of high profile clergymen or guests is coming to the country using the RRA.
They has created a concern in the Christian community, not only within the Liberal Council, but the faith community is also concerned, and I think the civil society is concerned. It is customary within our own culture when even our pastors or our bishops are traveling or coming, there are people that go to the airport to receive them or to even escort them while they are going. The former President George Weah is a citizen of our country, and I think he deserves due courtesy as a former president, even as a citizen of our country. If people recognize his appearance into the country and return to the country, I think it's one thing that is under the law of free movement and under the culture of celebration. People should be able to have a high level of tolerance. Howbeit, we are also concerned whether there were any threats that was linked to the former president arrival by people that came to the airport. And so the Ministry of Justice needs to be clear with that, whether there was threat that caused the police action to the group of people that went to the airport, whether the former president life was at risk, or what is it that really transpired. People need to be informed because I think he deserves a due courtesy of what kind of welcoming appearance of his sympathizer. We believe that the police should be able to provide the former president's security and even his supporters also the security, but make sure that their rights also do not also undermine the rights of others, because that's the international airport that is due to everybody and not only one person. We would like to be clear and we would like to be informed with regard to what really happened, because we think it is not good for our democracy. People appearing even, it's not only the airport, but it may be tomorrow, the former president or whoever will appear somewhere and the police is there. It should be the whole issue of providing security. And I think those persons should be informed that we are here to provide security for you because it's the government responsibility to provide security to the former president. We're not looking at him as the CDC standard bearer, but he's a former president of this country. And I think he due national security because it is his right to be able to obtain that national security and that respect. And anything on the contrary that would derail that whole issue of respectability is something of concern. That's why we feel the government needs to be clear on that. The Ministry of Justice needs to be able to speak on that. If they want to use the Ministry of Information, that's okay, to be able to inform the Liberian people what happened.
LCC Secretary General Reverend Dr. Christopher Toole, they're speaking. Authorities of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency on Tuesday held a recognition and honoring ceremony for East Iron Gate Detachment Commander Abdullah Kumar and his team. The recognition ceremony held at its headquarters was graced by senior officers and commanders follows the Iron Gate Detachment recent raid in Jatonu Town in Brownsville City that resulted to a huge drug bust. During the occasion, LD officers in charge, Jerome Biako, on behalf of the interim leadership, commended Officer Kumar and his team for the operation that led to one of the country's biggest efforts in tackling drug trafficking and abuse.
God strengthen you. That God continue to bless you, your family, and your team. That continue to provide security for the Liberian people. So I want to say thank you. And this is it's a full suit of uniform, boots, cap, and everything. To energize you. You'll do your good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. What is this?
All right, I'll be here with you.
The Liberia National Police Bond County Detachment has arrested, charged, and forwarded to the non-judicial Circuit Court two suspected armed robbers. They are identified as Austin Maxwell, 40, and Aman Mato Ure, 43. The suspects were charged with theft of property, criminal conspiracy, and simple assault following their arrest in the GST community. A third suspect, identified only as Foka, a Sierra Leonean national, remains on the run as the LMP has launched a search to apprehend him. According to the LMP, the arrest was made based on a tip-off and the suspect's previous criminal records. Speaking at a press briefing, Bond County Police Commander Fasu Sharif confirmed the arrest and reiterated the police commitment in combating crimes across the county.
Arrival of delegates and accreditation will start on October 3rd, 2025. The convention will officially
over the weekend. We were able to ransack a community in Banga Oil Depot area where we arrested two notorious criminals. One, Austin Maxwell, age 40, and Ama Mator Ure. And Ama Mator Ure is one of the notorious criminals who usually harbor another criminal from Mosul, the other area, whenever they come here to commit armed robbery and other crime within the community. So another one who is alive, who is on the run now, Fakai. He's a Sierra Leonean. He's a Sierra Leonean who usually come in Bond County and liaise with these guys that we just named to terrorize our community. So those two guys are presently under the custody of the Liberia National Police that underwent through the investigation of the Crime Services Department, and we are ready to send them to court on the charge of armed robbery, criminal conspiracy, theft of property, and simple assault.
The head of the Independent Commission on Human Rights says the prolonged investigation by police in the alleged rape involving suspended youth and sports deputy minister is of utmost concern to his institution. Councillor Dempster Brown noted that currently there are about 351 inmates behind bars at the Monrovia Central Prison for alleged rape that did not get preferential treatment. Like Deputy Minister Brian McGill, who stand accused of raping a 14-year-old girl. According to him, this strange act of police investigation is nothing but a selective justice that the accused must be arrested and brought under the jurisdiction of the court. Councillor Brown is said to be considering a petition for a writ of McDermott's to compel Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman to turn over Deputy Minister Brian McGill for the law to take its course.
The rape law is quite different from any other law. It says that any individual is accused of rape, they have to arrest you while you in a detention at South Beach. Investigation will continue. But what we are concerned about is that the conduct of the police. I visited the police station and I was told that the investigating, I asked them, why will you investigate from the 30th of August up to the time more than 3 weeks now?
I think the concern is that to get some probable cause before us doing an arrest.
The rape law did not say so. If you go to Monrovia Central Prison, we got almost 351 individuals that were accused of rape, but they never did DNA tests, and they have the people in jail, and some of them stay 2 to 3 years now. Our concern is that the police is cheating this man, and we will not sit here as human rights group to see somebody who's raped a 14-year-old girl, a government official, to go free. Now, the president addressed the United Nations, and he made it clear that he will protect the rights of women, especially gender-based violence and sexual violence. But the Baka in 5th, remove this man from office, suspended him, and replace him immediately. So what the police is waiting for? I met with the Minister of Justice that discussed the same thing, that we should not make the government to look ugly. The state, like bro, we are on the non-permanent seat of the United Nations. Then we will play game with children, a child under age 14 years. Government official, rape this guy according to her, and then the police director admitted that the medical report said that the guy was tampered with. What is going on now is selective justice, and we will not allow that. And I know about President Burger will not allow selective justice. So those that are responsible, that shitty McGill will be dealt with as a keeper with law. We have to go to court where now we're preparing a madam to go to the Supreme Court to compel Gregory Coleman to turn the young man over to the police.
Do you think the petition for the writ of mandamus was allowed in this matter?
Oh, I mean, the law is the law. So why is it the one man they can't carry the man to jail? Who is he? Is he God? This is our concern as somebody else's child. They say the girl is declining because she cries every day. What is the problem?
So your concern is that the deputy minister should be arrested, and while the investigation is ongoing,
he must be arrested. What happened to the others must happen to him. The Unity Party came to power to rescue us, but there are people around the president that destroy his administration.
Sure, this
I'm definitely telling you.
that is a grave allegation.
That's not great allocation. We signed a performance agreement with the executive mansion, and that agreement says that we must perform as a keeping with our function under the statute that created our institution. I continue to say that there are people who signed a performance agreement, they are not operating correctly, and they are destroying the image of this government. To be frank, I'm not hiding anything from anybody. I'm not afraid of anybody. They are destroying Burger legacy.
He's the head of the Independent Commission on Human Rights there against alleged preferential treatment exhibited by the Liberia National Police, and it is therefore considering a petition for a writ of mandamus to compel Police Inspector General to turn over Deputy Minister Brian McGill for the law to take its course. Then Alternative National Congress has announced the holding of its 2025 National Convention in Kakata, Magabi County, aimed at electing new corps of officers ahead of the 2029 presidential and legislative elections. Making a disclosure Tuesday, Monrovia, the organizing chairman of ANC National Convention, Patrick Moore, said the delegates are expected to adopt a new constitution, raise funds, and develop a budget to run the party.
Arrival of delegates and accreditation will start on October 3rd, 2025. The convention will officially open on the 4th of October. Each county is to bring 4 delegates, comprises of the county chairman, the county secretary general, the county women wing chair, the county youth congress chair. Every convention of an organization, the activities are varies. We will be crafting policies to have a way forward. The grown election 2023 was devastating to us. So we're trying to, at a convention, to recalibrate the spirit of our partisan and see how well we can forge ahead to tackle 2029.
He's the organizing chairman of the ANC 2025 convention, Patrick Moore. Away from home now, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have announced they will immediately withdraw from the International Criminal Court, labeling it as an instrument of neo-colonialist repression. The 3 military-led countries issued a joint statement saying they will not recognize the authority of the UN-backed court based in The Hague. The ICC has proven itself incapable of handling and prosecuting proven war crimes, crimes against humanity, crimes of genocide, and crimes of aggression. The 3 leaders said the court has not yet responded to the decision by the 3 countries, all of which with close ties to Russia, whose leader Vladimir Putin has been subject to an ICC arrest warrant. And more than 80 buffaloes have been killed after they trample over each other and drown in a river. Namibia's Environment and Tourism Department has said the buffaloes were being chased by lions in neighboring Botswana, where they fell from a deep cliff into the Chobe River on the Namibia side of the border, it added in a statement. Hundreds of buffaloes have been killed in similar circumstances in the past. In one of the worst cases, around 400 died in 2018 after the rain into the river, which flows from Botswana and Chibos National Park, a major tourist attraction known for its huge numbers of elephants, buffaloes, and giraffes. So, in this news year, once again, is our headlines. United States government announces drop charges against Liberia's former female ruthless rebel leader Mayama Sise, popularly known as Black Diamond, faces possible deportation. Government of Liberia expresses readiness to pay 7.1 million to Timor workers through mobile money transfer, but national Timor workers, wood construction, and ally unions reject the military move. African Maritime Administration's conference to commence in Monrovia on September 30 as Liberia's special representative to the IMO. Ambassador Robert Quade terms the conference a boost of domestic growth. Away from home, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have announced they will immediately withdraw from the International Criminal Code, labeling it as an instrument of neo-colonialist repression. And more than 80 buffaloes have been killed after they trample over each other and drowned in a river. Namibia's Environment and Tourism Department has said. Many thanks to all of our contributors, editors, and reporters who help in making this edition of King's Newsroom our success. For more news and information on this station, join us at 1 p.m. for another edition of King's Newsroom on behalf of the entire team. My name is Cornelius Johnson. I presented. Many thanks for listening and watching. Good morning.